What's up everyone, Ian here with another DIY install video. In this one I'm going to show you how to install your Perrin Performance cold air intake on your 2015 and up Subaru WRX. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is jack up your front end passenger side, because this is where the intake is located on this vehicle. You want to go ahead and disconnect your negative terminal on the battery. Make sure you back up whatever tune or flash you have on your device, because it will be lost. This is going to reset the ECU obviously. I don't have to worry about that because I'm running stock map, but make sure you go ahead and do so. Next, after that, you're just going to go ahead and remove these two rivets here holding in this air intake duct, which is fairly easy. Next, go ahead and remove this 10mm nut and these two 10mm nuts right here. Remove this M6 bolt here. Now we can remove the MAF sensor. Just go ahead and unplug it, and then we can shake this air box out and we can expose the tubing down here, the air inlet tubing. Next we need to loosen this clamp, and the clamp is actually upside down, so that's going to be fun. But once you loosen that up, you can actually pull the air intake box out. I went ahead and removed this side first. Just got to unclamp these here for the front part of the intake box. That way I have more room to work with for this mamma jamma, because this can get a little tricky. This hose clamp is a number 8, by the way. So you want to get this loose as much as possible to make your life a lot easier when you're trying to pull this off, because on a fairly new car these are going to be pretty snug on here, and the hoses aren't worn out. They're pretty, tight. So it's like that. Okay, so after you remove the air intake box, go ahead and leave this rubber tubing here for now. Instructions say to remove the M6 nut that is on that bolt right there in the center of the screen. So you want to take that nut off, and then also this hose clamp, you want to loosen that, and then we're going to pull the tubing out. So you'll need to access the bottom portion of the car as if you were going to replace the bulbs for your lights here, but it's just a few fasteners, 1, 2, and then just a little bolt that goes right behind this point right there, and voila. So let's go ahead and loosen that up, and then we can pull this tubing out. Now all of this is loose, so we'll keep this here, and we need to pull off from this point slowly but surely. Alright, so this is major pain in the ass to get off. So what you want to do is spray just a little bit of water on the outside of this. I took my panel fastener remover and just kind of lifted one edge up very slowly. You can kind of see a little bit of a scratch right here, but it's okay, it's plastic. You don't want to press too hard and crack this or anything like that. So just use a little bit of pressure to lift this one point off. Once you get a little bit of lubrication there with just a few sprays of water, and you'll be good. You don't want to get water inside of the tubing obviously, but just on the outside is fine. And that was plenty enough to just go ahead and wiggle it off. So now we can go ahead and remove this. Alright, so next, instructions say to remove the MAF sensor from the air intake box, and then we're going to go ahead and install it on the tubing. Want to be very careful not to damage this sensor here. There we go. That is sexy. Sexy. So inserting the sensor can be kind of confusing for some people, but basically you'll know you have it right when the screw holes line up, because it only fits one way. So now we'll use the M8 hardware that we have here to install the bracket onto the tubing. So you want to take your bracket with the M8 hardware that's supplied in the kit. So you'll go bolt, big washer, bracket, big washer again, and then nut, and then this is going to have bolt and washer. You do have these 3 smaller washers. So this should be matching the picture, which it is. And then next, we'll go ahead and install the bracket onto the hole right there in the picture. So now we could take the intake pipe and insert it into the engine bay, this end into the hose. And doing this will help kind of visualize where this bracket is supposed to be fastened in which hole. Alright, so now you'll take the M6 bolt, put it through the washer, go through the bracket, the top hole on the intake pipe bracket. You'll put the spacer provided, another washer, and then the M6 nut on the opposite side. You're going to go ahead and loosely tighten this. So that's loosely tightened. Okay, so the clamp is loose. This is just fairly loose, as well as the bracket hardware up here to the top left, going up towards the top of the engine bay. All loose right now because we want to make sure we have good fittings. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Alright, so now you'll take the supplied extension for the map sensor, plug it in here, and go ahead and plug it in there as well. So locate and remove this ground bolt and wire from this frame rail right here. Kind of just underneath your high beam DRL bolt. Next you'll remove these 2 screws on the ECU. Next we'll install the Perrin heat shield and all its goodness right there. These 2 slots here are where the ECU screws will be going into, and then there's a cutout for the headlight, and we'll be reattaching the ground down into the bottom right over here. Alright folks, so just a heads up, this may or may not be touching right here to this module. So what you want to do is wrap some kind of towel. I took a microfiber cloth towel and fold it over a few times, and I just took some pliers and bent it backwards towards, you know, the center of the engine bay. That way this won't have any pressure on it and no chance of snapping any electronics in the car. You also want to make sure that you set up the ground bolt correctly. It's going to be just like the instruction says. It's going to be the shield. Then you'll have the washer, you'll have the ground, and then you'll have the bolt. Make sure this wire is running on this side of the shield, which it is, and it's not being pinched down. Okay? And you should be good. Last step for this heat shield is putting this stripping on. So you'll have some excess here. I'm just going to cut that out. Alright, with the heat shield installed now, we're going to go ahead and make sure that with our just loose connections down here with all the fastening, that we're going to be okay as far as clearance with the filter. So I'll just throw the filter on the tube right now. The piping here, we'll see how this goes. Only thing I really got to do is just clean up the wiring right here. I'm just going to secure it with the zip tie, just like that, so it's not, you know, rubbing up against the filter down here. Just put it like this, fasten at that point. Alright, so I got the wire harness squared away, not rubbing the filter at all. That's a good thing. Then you want to test fit your Air intake duct right here. Make sure it's not touching as well. And everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and fasten all the hose clamps, the bracket, mounting hardware, and we should be set, folks. Wait a little bit. That sounds good. Some accelerations with the windows down.